I officially retired early 30 days ago, and here's what I've noticed so far. That whole loss of identity thing, it's real. Now, I don't have a problem with it, but you don't realize how much you tie your identity to your old career. For example, I just went on a trip with a bunch of guys, some of whom I knew in advance, and several that I didn't know. And so, of course, the first question that goes around is, what do you do? And when it gets to me, I said, I'm retired. And everybody looked at me like I'm crazy. You're too young to be retired. What do you mean you're retired? Most of these guys were older than me, some around the same age. And so, yeah, they look at me like I'm crazy. So that whole stigma of being retired is a real thing. Now, keep in mind, being retired to me doesn't mean I'm just not going to do anything. But in their eyes, they're like, well, why? What are you going to do? But in my opinion, why not? I mean, I'm 50, and yeah, that's young, but that's the point. I'm young enough to do the things I want to do. I'm young enough to have fun. I'm young enough to go on adventures, to travel, to see the world, to do all these things. Retirement to me doesn't mean just sit around and collect a check and go surfing or sit on the beach, which ironically is what we were doing that week. Retirement just means work is optional. If I want to start a business or do something else in the future, I'll do that. But right now, I'm more excited about the adventures I'm planning. I'm studying for my captain's license right now, working on building out a Sprinter van to do that, getting ready for the Great Loop. In a separate conversation I was having with a friend of mine, he said, yeah, he'd have a hard time retiring because he just feels like he needs to be productive. And my response to that was, absolutely, I want to be productive too, even in retirement. That doesn't mean you have to have a job. It just means you're doing stuff. You're doing stuff that matters. You know, you're learning, you're growing, you're continually progressing. Studying to be a captain, building out a Sprinter van, learning about electrical systems and plumbing and doing things with your hands. You know, it's just a whole new world of things that I just have never done before that I'm super excited to do. So anyway, the loss of identity is real. Another one is loss of structure, like what now? When you think of retirement, a lot of people say, I'd be too bored, I wouldn't know what to do. And I could see that being a real thing. It hasn't been yet because I've just had so many things going on, but at some point I may have to come up with some structure for myself. But I'm not too worried about that. I mean, so far, my first 30 days of retirement, I spent probably 3 weeks of that on the road. And the last week I've been home just catching up and working on my captain's license. So certainly haven't been bored, but I do believe that's going to be something that you need to keep an eye on. Related to that loss of structure is the invisible cost of freedom, meaning you might have anxiety over not having a schedule or deadlines or a boss or anyone to tell you what to do. Your time is your own, so you have to now figure out what to do with it. I think that's a good thing. Another one is social isolation. Now again, I fortunately have not had to deal with this yet, but it's something that you have to think about because you don't have the same interactions that you're used to having every single day. So if you're not making an effort to get out there and meet new people or do things with the friends you already have, you know, it could easily become very lonely. I'm not worried about that right now, but it is something that I think everyone needs to make a proactive effort or else it could become a problem. The last one I'll mention right now is the shift from saving to spending and how hard it is to adjust that mindset. And that's probably the one I'm struggling with the most because I don't want to spend down the money that I've saved. But I've been working through this with my financial advisor and we have a plan. So I think that's the key, is just make a plan and stick to it. So that's my first 30 days. But to be honest, I think it's going to take 3 months or maybe even 6 months to get a really good feel for this because the first 30 days has just been a whirlwind. I have been on the road the entire time and just too busy to even really think about things. So over the next couple of months, I'll start dealing with healthcare and some of the other issues that I need to deal with. But for now, I'm just really having a good time with my retirement journey.